Hey everybody, you're watching We the Fandom, where we discuss comic books, pop culture, and the fandom experience. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more content. How's it going, everybody? How about that finale? It all went exactly as expected, whether you are a normie or someone well-versed on the MCU or the comics. There weren't many surprises, but this is a review video, so let's get into it. So the episode starts off, things are already going down. We saw in the last episode that the Flag Smashers were planning something with the GRC Council, and the plan is being enacted right off the bat. Falcon swoops in with his new Captain America themed Falcon costume and the shield. Was that really a surprise for anybody? I'm going to be saying stuff like that a lot probably, and I hope it doesn't get annoying, but seriously. I've been seeing articles of people speculating what might have been in the box that Bucky gave him in that last episode. I mean, come on. But Sharon Carter also shows up, and she, Bucky, and Sam are trying to protect the GRC people, fight the Flag Smashers, as well as Batroc. And this fight is basically the focus of the entire episode up until the very end. But with the Flag Smashers attempting to kidnap the GRC Council, Bucky and Sharon end up fighting the Flag Smashers, and Sam is fighting Batroc. The fight between Sam and Batroc is okay. You know, it's two guys without powers. Batroc is slightly a better fighter, but Sam has the shield and the wings, so they're kind of even, but Sam ends up leaving the fight to go after a helicopter holding a kidnapped council member. Bucky also leaves the scene to go after some Flag Smashers who kidnapped all the other council members and are taking them away in armored trucks. Though Sharon stays on site to try and track down Carly while Sam goes after the helicopter. Now, his suit is updated, obviously. He's got more than one of the Red Wing drones now, if that's still what they're called, and he uses them pretty well. He uses one of them to scan the people in this helicopter that one of the Flag Smashers took and used to kidnap some of the council members, and he's able to use that scan, figure out that one of the female council members was a former helicopter pilot. So he's able to contact her through like text or something and tell her his plan, and then he used the same move from the premiere episode where he flies through the cockpit, taking the Flag Smasher pilot out. While it is cool, one of my complaints, not just about the Falcon, but the MCU in general, are how many characters are influenced by Iron Man. And what I mean is, like, characters who have, like, are straight up using Stark tech, or have costumes that are super tech-based instead of more like their comic book counterparts. At this point, Carly Morgenthau basically tells the other Flag Smashers that she, and therefore they, should be prepared to die to take out the GRC Council. And then that's when John Walker shows up with his DIY shield. Again, this fight between John Walker and the Flag Smashers, it was okay. It's 1-on-6 basically, and John alternately does well and very poorly against them. At one point, he's just lying on the ground, getting the crap beat out of him before Bucky shows up to help. And as the fight progresses, we see more and more dents in his shield, since obviously it's just made of regular metal and not vibranium, and he's fighting super soldiers. Bucky is able to save one of the trucks full of council members, but gets overwhelmed and then knocked off of a ledge into a construction zone. Carly drives one of the other trucks full of people to the very edge of that same ledge, and it's about to go over, and then John Walker shows up. And basically, he has the choice to either pull the truck back up or leave and try to kill Carly once again. And what do you know? John decides to do the right thing and pulls the truck up. But as he's doing that, some Flag Smashers show up and he tries to fight him off, but they basically yank him away and they all fall into the construction zone. And the truck is about to fall when Sam, the new Captain America, swoops in, and with his rocket wings and the help of the two Red Wing drones, he's able to push the truck back into the road. But the fight's not over. Batroc and Carly are still out there. John Walker decides to team up with Sam and Bucky, and they split up to find the villains, with John and Bucky going on one path and Sam on his own. Now we next see Carly trying to leave the area, but is met up with Batroc and Sharon. It's kind of a Mexican standoff. Batroc wants more money from Sharon. Sharon wants Carly to come back with her, and obviously Carly's still trying to do her own thing. And Sharon then reveals herself to be the power broker. And who could have guessed that? Well, I did. In the first episode she appeared in, it was pretty obvious. But Sharon shoots Batroc, and he's maybe dead. It's not really clear, because they basically ignore him for the rest of the episode. But Carly ends up shooting Sharon. Sam shows up right after, before Carly can finish Sharon off. And of course, he does his kind of like final battle between him and Carly. He's about to get shot by Carly when Sharon kills Carly, telling Sam that she basically had no choice. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Bucky and John team up and they are able to track down the rest of the Flag Smashers. But it turns out that they actually led the authorities to them instead of kind of engaging in a fight like you would have expected. And John Walker says, mercy bears richer fruit than strict justice, which is apparently a quote by Abraham Lincoln. After the fight between Sam and Carly, Sam flies down into the street where all the rescued council members and like the military and stuff are gathered, carrying Carly's body and landing in what is supposed to be reminiscent of kind of like an angelic type pose. Once he lands, he proceeds to give the head council member, who I believe still doesn't even have a name, the riot act. Now, his speech is very like social justice oriented and kind of irresponsible in my opinion. He tries his best to convince everyone that Carly and the Flag Smashers aren't terrorists, even though the rest of the writing of the show definitely says otherwise. Honestly, I felt like the council members were making some reasonable points, but of course Sam had to give his Black Captain America speech. Honestly, throughout this series, I felt bad for Anthony Mackie for having to deal with this dialogue. Almost every time he opens his mouth, it's like the lines were written by an angsty teenager who, were feeling rebellious and thought they were fighting the power. But the episode is drawing to an end, and still nobody knows that Sharon is the power broker. On the bright side for Sam, it seems like some of the council members, and as well as the public, accept him as Captain America now. As threads are wrapping up, we see the remaining Flag Smashers being detained and taken away in one of those armored trucks, but as the armored truck leaves, it blows up, killing all those inside. And we learn that Zemo's butler was holding the trigger for the remote explosive sitting in a parking garage somewhere. Honestly, I didn't see that part coming. But it cuts to Zemo on the raft, and he's hearing the news over like a loudspeaker, looking pretty satisfied for succeeding in his mission to rid the world of super soldiers, so good for him. John Walker is shown walking to a room, showing his wife and Valentina his new costume, which is basically the same as his old one, but black instead of blue, and Valentina telling him that things are about to get weird, the world doesn't need a new Captain America, it needs a U.S. agent. Bucky meets Nakajima, the old Japanese guy from the beginning of the series, and reveals to him that Bucky himself actually killed his son while acting as the Winter Soldier. It's a pretty sad moment, but it doesn't show us if Nakajima forgives him or not, so that kind of sucks for Bucky. Sam shows up to Isaiah Bradley's house, where Isaiah seemingly kind of accepts the fact that there can in fact be a Black Captain America, and then Sam takes Isaiah and Elijah to the Smithsonian, and next to the Steve Rogers history memorial area. And in probably one of the coolest moments of the episode for me, we see that the government set up the same kind of historical monument for Isaiah. Now, it would have been better if they had shown pictures of Isaiah wearing like a variation of the Captain America outfit, but it was still a great moment in the series. The show ends with Sharon at the same tribunal that stripped Walker of the Captain America mantle, except in this case they give her a pardon and her place back in what I think is the CIA. And then she walks out of the building talking to someone over the phone about using the government contracts that she'll have to basically sell weapon prototypes and stuff. And I want to take a moment to talk about the strange character arc of two characters, those being Sharon Carter and John Walker. Sharon Carter, I didn't understand from the beginning, and I still don't. She aided Captain America and was labeled a fugitive just like Sam and Bucky, but for some reason she wasn't pardoned like they were. But the most surprising part was that she willingly turned into a full-on crime boss and seems to look down on the whole notion of Captain America and superheroes in general, which I really don't get, as she was one of Steve Rogers' biggest supporters. She was also a strong believer in what her aunt Peggy Carter did in service for the country. They just really didn't show us, her transition, and so that switchover was pretty jarring. Now, with John Walker, it was pretty obvious from the start that he was starting to bend under the pressure of being Captain America, and then after the death of his best friend Lamar, he completely lost it. But we all saw that turn coming. It felt organic. He continued that same frenzied mindset in the finale episode, but after fighting a few of the Flag Smashers and then coming face to face with a choice to either chase Carly down and try to kill her to take vengeance for Lamar, or save the GRC council members in the armored truck, all of a sudden his head is clear. As if a few kicks in the head from the Flag Smashers completely altered his character's journey. It was just kind of poorly written, in my opinion, and it seemed like maybe they had even cut stuff out of the series just for time constraints or something that would have better explained like how his mind changed so quickly. Now, there are some things that I felt the show didn't answer or kind of left hanging. One, I thought more would have been set up for the Thunderbolts team. I thought that John Walker would be sent to the raft at the end of the series. He'd meet Zemo, and then Valentina would show up to recruit the two of them, and then kind of like maybe show us some of the other Thunderbolts as well. Obviously, that didn't happen, and I think we may be waiting a couple years to see anything come out of that. Number two, where the hell is Steve Rogers? In the first episode, they made the joke about him being on the moon, and while Sam has repeatedly said that Steve is gone, that didn't, specifically tell us whether he was dead or just gone somewhere else. And then in the finale, they made the moon joke again, so if in the next couple of years we don't see Steve Rogers on the damn moon, then this series just repeated the same dumb joke to kind of fuck with us, much like they did with the Quicksilver boner joke in the finale of WandaVision. And on that, I think I'll end it. My overall impression of the series was that it was okay. Honestly, the heavy politics kind of soured the taste. I try not to get too political in my reviews. I may or may not make a video addressing the political themes of the show, so maybe look out for that. But it just goes to show, I think these series weren't made for me. Current MCU isn't really made for comic book fans, it's made for the mainstream audience. I guess the Marvel execs believe that the mainstream audience wants a bunch of politics, so what are you gonna do? But leave your comments. I like hearing honest opinions about this stuff. Did it turn out the way you wanted it to? Did the politics not bother you? Did the politics actually make the show better in your opinion? I want to hear it all. As always, please hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.